We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this rebel outpost with a donation. Hit the $sign where you make a comment and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments in the chat room, with your phone calls later in the show. We have got a stack show. It's stacked. Remember, we're coming into this off season. We're coming into this off season like a feather, not like a hammer. And I'm going to be your nail. No, that's not going to happen. We're coming in like a feather. We're analyzing. I already did my way too early. If you missed that, go check it out. I already did my way too early college football playoff predictions. But I've got the right. I've got the right to change my mind in August when they become my official predictions. But I laid it out there. I'm just letting you into the mind of the fat guy from Minnesota, the twisted mind. the Twisted Mind. Not Greg the Cooler anymore, Greg the Gold's Twisted Mind. But we're gonna, you know, at some point we are going to do a deep dive into everybody. Now, I did a little bit of a dive into these 12 teams, a little bit, but we're going to be doing a deeper dive. We're going to be doing conferences, and but we're coming in as a feather. I see Maria Hernandez Garcia Flugar is in the chat room. The moderator, the one who rules with an iron fist. I often tell Maria when we're singing, when me and the little general are singing, I oftentimes to tell her, come in like a feather. Come in when you're singing with the other people at a party, whatever. Come in like a feather. Come in and just sort of blend in. Blend in. Don't hit it hard at first. Just kind of get in there. Make sure you're on pitch when you first start. Don't go full blood. Come in like a feather, and that's what we're doing here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner in the off season. Today we're going to be the lines. The Vegas lines are starting to show themselves. And we're going to go over some of the week 1 football games, the lines that are the early morning lines. It's the way too early lines. There's some surprises in there. I think there is. And I don't know if I'm getting fooled once again. I don't know if I'm going back to Greg the Cooler, but there's a couple surprises. And then we're going to go into Vegas Bet Online, and we're going to look at the odds for the conference champion in each of the 4 power conference champions. The odds. I think there's a couple of surprises there as well. In the Big 12, I think there is a surprise. So we're going to go through that. We are going to do a fun, I believe it's going to be a fun segment. It's going to be the first time we do this. And we're going to continue to do this throughout the off season. Would you rather? It's in the title of our live show. Would you rather have this guy or this guy? We're going to be doing it by units within the conference. We are going to start with the quarterbacks in the Big 12. And I'm going to tell you, my question is, would you rather have this quarterback or this quarterback? If you are the head coach of a football team in the Big 12 for this season only, I'm not talking long term, I'm not talking last year, I'm talking for 2025. If you are the head coach, would you rather have Morton? Would you rather have Robertson? That's just an example. That is not an official question right now. But I'm going to do would you rather. I'm going to see the comments in the chat room. I'm going to figure out what you guys are thinking when it comes to the quarterback position of the Big 12. Then we're going to go on another live show and do our would you rather segment. Quarterbacks SEC, Big 10. We're going to get to the running backs. We're going to get to the head coaches, so forth and so on. I think it's going to be rather interesting to see what the PATC family is thinking as we're heading into March, the start of spring practices. Okay, so we're going to do that. First of all, we're going to start with the roll call, and then I just want to briefly touch on the episode that I released earlier today, episode 423. It's for everybody. And the title of the episode is Nebraska Running Scared? Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but, if you, please go watch it when you get an opportunity. But I still need someone to explain to me the reasoning behind Matt Rule. I've got a lot of Nebraska Cornhusker fans mad at me. They're saying, Greg this, Greg that, but I still don't, I see a lot of Matt Rule is ahead of everybody, in this thinking. I don't get it. I don't get it still right now. We are heading towards a world in which the conference records, your conference standings, and if you win that play, we're heading towards that world, ladies and gentlemen. That becomes way more important. Losing a tough non-conference game becomes less important. Not the other way around. I don't get it. I'm honestly, I'm perplexed. I am absolutely perplexed. So we're gonna hit just lightly upon that. A whole lot of people are upset with me. Kerry Gold knows. Okay, so by the end of this live show, there is a really good chance everybody's going to be upset with me because we're going to do the old would you rather. We're going to go through the odds. I am going to rip on just about everybody. So why don't I start here? Not against you, Kerry Gold knows, but I want to remind everybody of something of importance. And I'm the only one who's a big enough jerk to remind people of something. Okay? Kerry Gold knows, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all of your generosity on this show. You have incredibly helped us out. I'm very humbled by your kindness. No's are pushing forward with the lawsuit. Kerry Gold knows is very happy. Most, in my opinion, most of the Florida State fan base is like, yeah, keep going, baby. Keep going, baby. Keep going. I do not walk in the Seminoles' shoes, right? I get it. You've invested a lot of the university has invested a lot of money, time, emotions in this. I'm just going to give everybody another warning on something here because no one else is going to say it. So I'm going to say it. Florida State, for this to work out, to get what you want, boy, you are going to have to hit, you're going to have to hit a grand slam. In other words, to get what you want, to go in to a power to go to the SEC or the Big Ten, you need a shocking, complete, almost complete victory in the courts. You need a victory in the courts that would shatter the ACC. You would need a victory in the courts that would make it so a whole bunch of other ACC teams can take advantage. Now, you might say, well, we don't care. That's fine. But I'm just saying, because, and here is the hard truth, and I'm going to get people angry with me again, and people are going to say they're going to unsubscribe to our channel, and then eventually I think they're going to find out we were telling the truth again, and hopefully they give me another opportunity. But the Florida State remaining in the courts doesn't get them closer to being able to join the SEC of the Big Ten. Just a reminder of that. Unless they get a smashing victory. And maybe they will, and maybe it's going to all be worth it. But I'm just telling you guys, go back to the Brett McMurphy article of last summer. Go back to our reporting 6 weeks prior to that article. Just Florida State and Clemson being in the courts, continuing to challenge the grant of rights. You know, you saw Fox support ESPN. You saw the Big Ten and the SEC basically support the ACC in the court filings. Remember that term, bad partner? People are looking at Florida State as a bad future partner. The Big Ten don't like any of this. I know there's talks of a Super League and the Big Ten and the SC and all that talk that's out there, which I cannot find any, I don't have any evidence of any of that stuff that is circling around the college football YouTube channels. I'm just telling you, man, there is a way, there is some exit ramps that are being, or they're trying to be created within the ACC and Florida State and Clemson. And I get it. Most Florida State fans are saying, we don't want no exit ramp. We want complete capitulation. I get it. It's an emotional situation. Florida State got screwed in the playoffs a couple years ago when they weren't invited into the 14 playoffs. They're getting screwed all the time. But staying in the courts without a complete victory is digging a deeper hole. Unless you don't want to believe those Brett McMurphy reports, okay? If you don't want to believe our reporting, that's fine. But I got to tell you the truth. Staying in the court itself to do the battle might get Florida State Seminole fans revved up. Let's go. But in the hallways in the Big Ten presidential offices, and I don't think the SEC looks upon it any better. Just giving you that warning. I am hoping, now I'm looking at it from a completely different angle. I'm not a Florida State Seminole. I'm not a Clemson Tiger. So I'm not as involved or invested, but I'm hoping that they get out of the courts, get more money out of all this work that Florida State has done, and get back into the good graces of those places that they eventually want to land, because that is the victory that Florida State and Clemson are looking forward to. Just my whatever. Expedition Greg, thank you, Kerry Gold Nose. I appreciate it, and I get it. Florida State fans are excited. I'm just giving you that little bit of a warning. Expedition Greg, thank you so much for the gifted membership. Thank you so much. Daryl Captain 63 was gifted a membership. Daryl, when you get an opportunity, please say thank you for the generosity of Expedition Greg. Both of you are knighted early peak cloak and dagger. Thank you, Expedition Greg, Mr. Buckeye, for your incredible generosity. Thank you so very much. Ryan Willie, 5 gifted memberships. Holy smokes. Tide Guy, Phenomenal Hebrew, Shave the Banana Soap, Jeff, Crab Cakes and Football, Mr. Terrapin. All have been gifted a membership by the Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Ryan Willie. He's the Evil Badger of this channel, but he's an incredibly kind person, generosity and all that. Talks great college football. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thank you so very much. All of you are hereby knighted cloak and dagger. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Ryan Willie and go to our library in our YouTube channel and check out those early peak Cloak and Dagger member-only episodes. We did release episode 423 earlier today. That was for everybody. And again, I'm just going to touch upon this. We're going to talk about Nebraska just for a moment. I know the Cornhuskers think I am picking on them. I'm picking on Matt Rule a little bit. I will admit to that. Charlie Atwood is in the house. Skull Ducky. USC Jose James Foster. Go Sun Devils. Where is the Sun Devils? What are the odds of them to repeat as the Big 12 champions according to at least one sports book that we're going to be looking at? Are they the favorite? Are they the favorites? I think they should be. But there's another school, another team in the Big 12 that are listed on the same tier as Arizona State. Very interesting. Jared Jones, Mr. Buckeye, is in the house. Preston from Greensboro. Miami Hurricane. Rocket Rant in faster than Nebraska. Cancels. Wow. P4 series. Kenneth Bowman. Skull Buffs. Jago Blue. Mr. Buckeye. Caleb Ramirez. Chad Bracey. Again, Kerry Gold Nose. Richard L. Patrick Bailey. Bears. Steel Austin. Cyclones. Iowa State. Are they the team that's listed alongside Arizona State as the favorites to win the Big 12 according to the sports book that we're going to be looking at? No, they're not. No, they're not. Somebody else is attached to the hip of the defending Big 12 champion, the Sun Devils. But it ain't the Cyclones who lost to the Sun Devils in the Big 12 championship game. No respect given to Matt Campbell and the Cyclones. I'm giving Iowa State respect. I got you guys in the way too early college football playoffs. Skaven, yes, thank you for coming on in. It sounds like I'm picking on the Cornhuskers. I will get out the Cornhuskers. Just give me another 5 minutes and I will get off your back. Jay Chapman is in the house. Mr. Mountaineer, Taytown Hawk, Rock Chalk. We're going to be doing a segment, Would You Rather? It's going to be Jalen Daniels versus somebody. Who would you rather have as your quarterback for 2025? We're going to get to that in a moment. Mick Stevens is in the house. You have your Big 12 pick wrong, but please don't pick West Virginia, though. Daniel Gygax, you are... No! You are thinking back to the last 3 years. You are looking at me like I'm still Greg the Cooler. Those days are gone. They're finished. It's Greg the Gold this year. Greg the Gold. Buckle up, Daniel. Buckle up. Who else have we got? Xmas Tox is in the house. Dante's Inferno Purgatory is here. Nobody believes me. King Spleen. Greg, what do they say in the halls of the Big Ten presidents about how the ACC won't give Florida State a number to leave their rights? First of all, I don't know if they have not. Maybe they've been given a number that's way too high. Maybe they haven't been given a number at all. I don't know. Is the word out of Tallahassee that Florida State is not even getting a number? It has been said at the beginning of this whole process that the ACC won't even have to accept the big check if it was written to them. So that's another look, I believe that Florida State is going to, and people don't like to hear this because they want it now because they deserve it to have it now. Florida State is too big a brand, too valuable a brand not to get where they need to get to. They're going to get there. By hook or by crook, Florida State is too valuable a brand, too big of a fan base, too much value for them not to get to the level that they need to get to when it comes to revenue. They're going to get to the stratification line. All I'm saying is being in the courts, continuing to be in the courts, is not helping the intangibles part of this. It's not helping the perception. The Big Ten does not like, and the SEC does not like what's going on. They don't. They don't like what's going on. I get people do not agree with me, and that's fine. I'm just letting you know. RFR Mac is in the house. Christopher Mercado is here. The Observer, Morris Simmons is in the house. Who else is here? Gene Hackman. AAR, thanks for coming on in. AAR. Gene Hackman. Prayers go out to the loved ones of Gene Hackman and his wife and their dog. They all passed away. Don't know what led to the death of the dog and the wife and Gene Hackman, but God bless Gene and everybody. It's 95 years old. The actor for the ages. So many incredible roles. Anytime he was on the big screen, he just popped out. An incredible actor, Gene Hackman. Rest in peace. Thanks, AAR, for bringing that up. I do appreciate it. Okay, I'm here to hear you rip on LSU. Okay, Ryan Brooks. All right, let's get into it. But before we do, again, I'm just going to touch upon the Nebraska thing. The Nebraska Cornhuskers, they canceled the series against Tennessee for 26 and 27. I understand the series was delayed by Tennessee. Nebraska acquiesced. Tennessee delayed it from 2016 to 17 to 26 and 27. But Matt Rule comes out and says, why in the world would a Big Ten team who's already playing 9 conference games, why would you ever play one of those games? While at the same time, Del Conte, the Texas athletic director, says we will continue to schedule marquee non-conference opponents. Our brand should play the greatest brands in college football because we are the best. And I'm not going to do a repeat of episode 423. You can go watch that whole episode. But I got to tell you, I can sort of understand the logic of not playing a tough, competitive SEC team in your non-conference games in the years past, right? Any loss derails your ability to get to the national championship game, to get to the Final Four, the invitational 4-team playoffs. But here we are heading towards a world in which there's going to be an automatic bids for the Big Ten, 4, most likely 4. 4 for the SEC, 2 for the Big 12, 2 for the ACC, which means that 90% of the time, it's going to be at least 80. It's going to be much higher than 80. 90% of the time, whatever big number you want to put on it, most of the time, if you are a Big Ten school, you are going to make the college football playoffs by being in the top 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the Big Ten standings and win your play-in game. That's how you're going to get to the playoffs. It's your conference standings. That is your first big bite of the apple to get to the college football playoffs. You do get a second bite. You do get a second bite if you should not win your play-in game. You have a second bite of the apple to get an at-large bid. An at-large bid. But when they're looking at the at-large bids, they're going to be looking at your entire resume. And if you think you can get an at-large bid by playing 2 MAC schools and Northern Iowa, for God's sake, you think you're going to get an at-large bid. Remember, if you don't make it in as an auto bid, you're going to have 2 or 3 losses right off the bat, right? Most likely. And unless you're the first seed or the second seed, in my humble opinion, and I haven't had anybody been able to explain to me a rational reason around this. Matt Rule has it backwards. Absolutely backwards. Whatever happened to the term iron sharpens iron? This is actually the time where you do play somebody big, somebody strong, somebody that can whoop you in the non-conference. Because it doesn't count against your conference standings. It will get you ready for your conference. And if you win that game, it's going to help your at-large bid. It's actually the opposite that is going on. It is why Notre Dame is lining up. Well, they've got a couple different reasons why they're lining. You don't see Alabama. You don't see Texas. You don't see Michigan. You don't see Ohio State. You're not seeing anybody else do what Matt Rule is doing. You're not hearing anybody say what Matt Rule is saying. Everybody else is zagging. Matt Rule is zigging. Now, I got some Cornhusker fans saying, Greg, you are a golden gopher. You do not understand. Matt Rule is ahead of everybody. He's ahead of everybody when it comes to canceling the spring game. Well, first of all, he's not ahead of everybody canceling the spring game for the reasons that he gave. Mike Gundy, PJ Fleck, Ole Miss's head coach, Lane Kiffin, they all canceled their spring game the year prior for the same reasons that Matt Rule is saying. So Matt Rule, I mean, look, he's a good coach. He's a smart guy. But his reasoning for having a cupcake schedule, going into 26 and 27, he's not giving his team a second bite of the apple, or he's limiting the opportunity for that second bite of the apple. It's your conference record. It's your conference record that's going to get you in, Nebraska. Okay, I'm done with that. If you, people are disagreeing with me on X. You can disagree with me in the chat room. You can give me a phone call later in the show and set me straight. Now let's go to, first of all, I just want to go through some lines here. Iowa State, Kansas State, Nebraska, Tennessee, oh boy, Nebraska, Cincinnati, woo, boy, Alabama, Florida State. Let's take a look at these first few games. Iowa State is plus 2.5 against Kansas State. Again, the Cyclones disrespect early. I mean, we're not even into March. We're not even into March, and the Cyclone Nation has got their pitchforks out. Wow. Cincinnati, Nebraska. Now, okay, so I'm going to go off the deep end here. I just, please be a little patient with me. Please be a little patient. I'm going to go off. I'm going to go a little. Look, again, it sounds like I'm picking on Nebraska. I'm not picking on look, Nebraska. I predicted Nebraska to go 8-4 last year. I predicted the Cornhuskers to break their non-bowl streak, and they did. They went 6-6. They had incredible easy schedule. Conference, non-conference, everything. Nebraska, their conference schedule was very easy. They should have won more than 6, but they got the job done. They went to a bowl game. Okay. Nebraska, to me, when you're looking at Vegas, Nebraska is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, for those who are NASCAR fans, you're going to be able to pick up here what I'm laying down. For years, if you go to the sports book and you wager on NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt Jr., his odds, oh boy, he was always the chalk or the second chalk of every single race. You could not get good value on Dale Earnhardt Jr., but the people betting on Dale Earnhardt Jr. didn't give a rip. They were betting on Dale Earnhardt Jr. because of the nostalgic factor, because they were incredible fans of Dale Earnhardt Sr. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s odds were horrific, and he barely won. Now, when you bet on NASCAR, it wasn't just betting to win. You could go top 5 finish, top 10 finish, have different odds. But if you spent all your time betting on Dale Earnhardt Jr., you lost your shirt, because he rarely won you your play. But every single week, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s odds were that he was the chalk or the second chalk. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s numbers were greatly affected by his incredible fan base. Vegas picked up on this. Vegas won a lot of money on Dale Earnhardt Jr. Vegas hated that Dale Earnhardt Jr. retired, okay? They were the biggest losers out of Dale Earnhardt Jr. retiring. Nebraska. They are the Dale Earnhardt Jr. in college football when it comes to the odds. The Big Red, a massive, passionate, incredible, great fan base. Unbelievable fan base. And by the way, 99% of them are fantastic, even on X. Everyone I talk to, now there's a few goofballs out there, and I think you know a couple of them, but an incredible unbelievable fan base. And they love to put the money on Nebraska. Well, it hasn't gone well. Now, what Vegas has been doing is they've been adding a couple of points on the Nebraska line. They've been doing the Dale Earnhardt Jr. situation. Remember, when Vegas puts the line out, they want 50-50 action on that line because they win the juice. So they want to get it close to 50-50 on that line. So on Nebraska lines, they kind of pump it up a little bit. So what I'm saying is, in this long story, and I'm sorry I got off the rails. But Vegas actually thinks this game's like 4.5. Okay? Which is interesting to me. This game is being played, as Steve has reminded me on X. It's in Kansas City. It's an interesting line. I think it's a surprising line. I should have checked before I came on live here. Did Brendan Sorsby beat Nebraska a couple of years ago? I kind of remember that might have happened. Sorsby had a great season for Indiana. A very good season for Cincinnati. Nebraska's got a lot of new guys. They got a new offensive line. I believe in Dylan Raiola. I think he's a great talent. Got a little bit more growing up to do. They got a new wide receiver core. They got a new everything. They got a lot of new stuff. So I'm sure Cincinnati. Interesting line. Very interesting line. I think Cincinnati is, again, it sounds like I'm picking on the Cornhuskers, and I apologize. I love the Cornhusker fan base. I think Vegas is giving Cincinnati some hidden value, some hidden credibility. I would expect this line to go up, like Nebraska -7.5 in a couple months from now, because that's what the Cornhusker fan base does. But the first line of -6.5, I think Vegas thinks this is a 4-point game. Anyways, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the chat room or later with your phone calls. Alabama, Florida State, 9.5? 9.5? What? Okay. Again, I'm trying not to do. I'm not trying to do too deep of a dive here, because honestly I'm not ready. But sometimes my mouth runs before my brain catches up. Alabama, again, we're going to go through the win totals. We've got a lot of time in the offseason, guys. We're coming in like a feather. We're going to analyze everything. We're going to turn over every single rock. Alabama win total, I believe, is 8.5. I believe is 8.5. Let me know if I'm incorrect on that. But I believe I remember being 8.5. Whew. Alabama quarterback. I don't know if that Ty Simpson. I don't know if that first of all, that guy is another non-Kalen DeBoer guy. And look, I've been a little bit tough on, or I've questioned Thomas Castellanos being the quarterback of Florida State. But he's a tight look. If Thomas Castellanos is a guy who, at the end of the day, he gives you the chance for a backdoor cover, right? Florida State 9.5. I get it. They're 2-10 and all that stuff, but man, that is too many points. I'm sorry. That is too many points, in my opinion. But anyways, okay, let's go on to some more games here. Texas and Ohio State. I think the line is perfect, right? It's at the shoe, right? I don't see anything. I think the line is perfect. Clemson -2.5 against LSU. Nussmeier versus Klubnik. Wow. And because Clemson came on strong last year, won the ACC championship, LSU's got more pressure here. Ryan Brooks or anybody else, any other LSU Tiger in the chat room. When's the last time Brian Kelly won the opener at LSU? I think he's lost a couple in a row, if I'm correct. I'm probably not correct. LSU plus 2.5. Clemson. I've got them both in the playoffs. I got them both in the playoffs, baby. I've got LSU number 6. I got Clemson number 2. I think you guys can tell I'm leaning Clemson away here. February 27th, many months away. Auburn and Baylor. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about Baylor here later in the monologue. Going to talk about Mr. Robertson. I don't want to say too much about this game because I don't want to give anything away. This is the game I don't want to give in. I'm gonna pass on talking about this game. You guys can talk about it, but I'm gonna give the old cloak, and then right before this game goes off kickoff, I am gonna give you the dagger. Although you're gonna probably figure it out once I do the SEC in the Big 12 rankings later in this offseason. Georgia Tech, the Rambling Wreck versus Colorado. Caden Salter? Is he going to be the starting quarterback for the Buffaloes? He's got to go against that tough, rugged Haynes King. They're bringing back their running back. They lost Singleton, the receiver. He went to Auburn. Georgia Tech minus 3.5. I got to tell you, Buffalo fans in the chat room, I am leaning the Rambling Wreck, Tennessee and Syracuse. I might as well say this on February 27th. I'm good. Opie, 2019 was the last time LSU won an opening day. Holy smokes. Go Black 45. LSU has lost 6 straight openers. Holy smokes. I didn't know it was that bad. I like LSU this year. I do. I think I got them number 6. So you can see I've got LSU going on a big run in the SEC. A big run. But I think they're going to lose that Clemson game. Anyways, look. Tennessee, you must be from Tennessee because you are the only 10 I see or something like that. The Tennessee Volunteers, I'm going to just be honest with you. I've got them sinking like a rock in 2025. We'll talk about it more when we get into the SEC. Tennessee, I am very down. They're losing Sampson, man. I don't think people understand how important he was to the 10-2 Tennessee Volunteers. Utah, UCLA. Devin Dampier. I like Utah in that game. That's a nice line right there. If Utah rolls into the Rose Bowl -3, the Flugarian Empire, the fat guy from Minnesota, is going to put Kerrygold Nose, Morris Simmons, and Steele Austin's money on the Utah Utes. How about them apples? Virginia Tech, with a few more games here. Virginia Tech in South Carolina. Mr. Sellers. What are we going to do, South Carolina? What are we going to do, Shane Beamer? What are we going to do? Are we going to get to the next level? Is South Carolina going to get to the next level? Notre Dame, Miami, Carson, Beck, and Jelly? Or is it going to be Beck versus CJ Carr? The Notre Dame quarterback battle is going to be very interesting to watch. Now, I got both of these teams. Get a load of this. I got both of these teams making the college football playoffs. I got both of these teams playing each other in the first round, 8 versus 9. I think they're going to see each other again. That probably ain't going to happen. But Notre Dame, Miami, somebody's got to lose, and I think whoever loses still has a good shot at making the playoffs. I like Carson Becht probably more than anybody else in the chat room right now. What was that? Hummus Hero, not a believer in Nico, Greg. I'm not a believer in that offensive line. I think if Nico wasn't so athletic, skillful, and getting out of there, I think he would have been killed. That's my problem with Tennessee. TCU, first of all, Carson Becht. I'm more of a fan of his than probably anybody in the chat room. I love how Steve Angeli played for Notre Dame, though. And then that CJ Carr, we haven't seen him, but he was on the bench last year as a true freshman. They got Jeremiah Love coming back. They got some guys coming back. TCU, North Carolina, Bill Belichick. Woo! Monday, September 1st. And we're going to talk about quarterback Hoover here in a second for the Horned Frogs. TCU plus 2.5. Boy, there's going to be a lot of money. A lot of money. A lot of money put on that. Okay. So we had to go through that. I think there's a couple of surprises there. Let's take a look at one of the sportsbook. Conference championship odds. Clemson is the favorite, and I believe they should be the favorites. I mean, my goodness. Cade Klubnik, he grew up late last year. Antonio Williams, he's going to come in 2025, hopefully completely healthy, ready to rock and roll. You've got the no longer great freshman wide receiver, but you got the sophomore now, Bryant Wesco. You got the linebacker, Mr. Brown, Sammy Brown. Look, the defense could not stop the running game. They should be able to figure that out at Clemson next year. What I'm looking for Clemson, more than anything else is who's going to be their running back. I'm not sure, guys. I don't know if Clemson is sure about it. Hopefully, a couple of guys rise up during the spring and summer camp. Miami, number 2. Louisville, number 3. SMU still getting a whole lot of support. 5-1. At Florida State is 12-1. The Seminoles from 2-10 record, 12-1. Woo! North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Duke. And then you've got North Carolina State, who I am not going to fall in love with this offseason. The Big 12, 5-1. Kansas State, Arizona State, 5-1. Those are your 2 favorites. Bet Online Sportsbook, Kansas State, Arizona State occupy the top 2 lines. Now, I've got Arizona State there. I've also got Iowa State there. Iowa State is 9-1. I am sensing early on here as we head into March some disrespect for the Cyclones. Kansas is 8-1. BYU 15-2. Look at Baylor. 7-1. Baylor's got a little bit of an edge over BYU. Texas Tech. Oh, I think Texas Tech is one of those, the Red Baron, Mr. Morton. I'm just wondering if the Red Raiders had gotten to that 9-win level the last couple of years. I'm wondering if people would be more apt and more trustworthy that the Red Raiders would break on through the glass ceiling. But because they don't quite get to that level, I don't think they see them going 11-1 or 10-2, going to the Big 12 championship and winning it. I just think it's psychological here. I think if Texas Tech can just get there to that next level, I think you're going to see a run of Red Raiders. A whole lot of people start believing. Houston 50-1, Arizona 66-1, UCF 33-1, Cincinnati 28-1, Rich Rod, new coach for West Virginia, Gundy, TCU, Colorado, Utah 12-1. What about the SEC? Texas, no shock there, 2-1. Georgia 3-1. Tennessee 6-1. And now when I look at that, that means that I believe there's going to be good value below them. There's got to be a team below Tennessee that I'm going to roll the dice with. Alabama 6-1. Same thing. Tennessee and Alabama are too chalky here. They're too chalky. They're absorbing too much of the people's money. So that means there's better odds below that. Good value odds. Like LSU 8-1. I'm going to skip over Mississippi. I don't think they can win. Look, they just lost Jackson. I don't think Ole Miss can win the SEC this year. Texas A&M, I'm going to still shade away. South Carolina 22-1. 22-1 South Carolina. I'll put a little bit of replicas money on South Carolina. You know what? I might just throw a little bit of the almighty Finn money on Florida. 33-1. You got Art Buckle. You got Johnny Football, Johnny Montier, Oklahoma. What is that? 66-1. I saw that Arkansas had a win total of 5.5. And I looked at their schedule. Man, Arkansas is they're gonna have a tough road to hoe. I love Mr. Green. I think he's a pretty good quarterback, but Arkansas has got a tough road. I think Kentucky's win total, if I remember correctly, is 4.5. Vanderbilt and Mississippi. The Big Ten. The Buckeyes, number 1. Really? 2-1. Oregon, alongside Ohio State. Oregon? Dante Moore? Julian Sayin? Neither of these guys have faced the live bullets needed to win a conference championship, and they're going to go in there and they're going to win it. They're going to win it. Penn State 3-1. I'm putting Kerry Goldnose money on Penn State. The Nittany Lions. Now the odds jump, right? Michigan 13-2. Now, I would not put a dime on Michigan. I mean, let's just see how this year goes. Sharon Moore and Underwood and everything that's going on at Michigan. Let's see where they're headed in 2026. I think this 2025 is going to be another reset year. I know Gold Blue people in the chat room are not happy. Yeah, Dante Moore did start at UCLA. I don't know. Again, I've got Oregon squeaking into the college football playoffs. 2-1. I think that's just too chalky, in my opinion. Indiana, 25-1. I love their quarterback, just like I love their transfer quarterback of the year before, Curtis Rourke. I love Fernando Mendoza. I love Fernando Mendoza. I'm sorry, guys. Boy, man, I got Indiana as a bubble team to make the college football playoffs, along with Michigan. I don't have USC there. I don't have Iowa there. But I got Indiana and Michigan as bubble teams, along with BYU, South Carolina, a few other teams. USC 33. I'm not sure if Lincoln Riley is going to produce the year he needs to do to secure his job for another year. I'm not sure about that. Iowa Hawkeyes, now get this, Hawkeyes, very interesting quarterback. Believe it or not, South Dakota State Jackrabbits quarterback Winowski. Nebraska, they've got a stud at quarterback, Dylan Raiola. Love to watch him play. A new offensive line, and I think that might be good news for Dylan Raiola. As I said, I don't like that Nebraska offensive line that stayed around there for 4 years. They were below average. Dylan Raiola got through the season. He faced all the live bullets. Everything that they needed Dylan Raiola to do, I think he went and accomplished it. Nebraska, I had them 8-4 last year. They go 6-6. They have a more difficult conference schedule this year. But I see them winning 7 or 8 games. Illinois has got so much returning. Illinois at 50-1 should be right behind Indiana. They should be ahead of Iowa. They should be ahead of Nebraska. They should be ahead of USC. Illinois should be right behind Indiana. 50-1 is really good value. Really good value. I'm going to take Bobby Hansen's money and I'm going to put it on the Fighting Illini. Minnesota 80-1 with the red shirt freshman that hasn't faced once. Well, he did against Rhode Island last year. I am a little bit surprised, though. Minnesota's got a lot coming back, and they did well in the portal. They're getting a lot more. They're getting a lot more credit than I thought they were going to get because a quarterback that nobody knows about. Well, I do. Look out, baby. Buckle up. Brace for impact. Gophers 80-1. Wisconsin 150. Michigan State 150. Rutgers 150. UCLA 200, Maryland 300, Northwestern 500, Purdue 500. So there are the odds for the championship game. One more thing before we get to your phone calls. One more thing. Bill Connelly put out his SP ratings, right? He just did that today. Now, a couple of days ago, we went through the Bill Connelly ratings. We went to the Bill Connelly ESPN when he had his rankings of all 136 FBS schools, the rankings of their production that is coming back, on offense, defense, and total percentage. We did all that. And then Bill Connelly reported that in a couple of days, he would come out with his rankings for all of the metrics that he used, and we said we would go over that when it happened, and it did today. Returning production, recent recruiting, these are the metrics. Recent history, okay? A reminder on SP Plus, it's a tempo and opponent adjusted measure of college football efficiency. In addition to the rankings of every FBS overall, offense, defense, special teams. We look at the conference breakdowns and how SP matches up with the eyeball test. Okay. So these are the rankings. Now, I do apologize. It's very difficult to see this. Probably very difficult to see, but Kent State at 136. Okay? All the way at the bottom. You're looking at Purdue is 116. Not a good ranking for a Big Ten football program. You're looking at the next 20 listed here. Delaware Fighting Blue Hens, their first year in FBS, is 104. 104. You're looking at the next 20. UConn is 90. Can UConn put together another good year? Virginia, 82. Wake Forest, 83. Toledo, 75. You're looking at the next 20. Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, 73. UCLA, 69. Maryland, 67. Arizona, 66. Again, Bill Conley's SP rankings. You can completely ignore them if you want. I got no problem with that. But we talk about it every year when he puts it out there. Cincinnati sitting at 55. Pittsburgh at 53. The next 20. Colorado, 48. North Carolina State, 45. Rutgers, 43. Wisconsin, 41. Kentucky, 40. Minnesota Golden Gophers, 37. Nebraska, 34. Arkansas, 35. Texas Tech Red Raiders, 33. Utah, 32. And here is the next 20. You got Boise State sitting down there. 31, Arizona State. 29, BYU. 27, TCU. 26, looks good in the metrics. Indiana, 24, Auburn. Look at Auburn. Look at Auburn. 23, Louisville. 22, Iowa. 21, Oklahoma 20, Kansas State 19, SMU 18. Florida, the Gators 17, South Carolina 16, Mizzou 15, Miami Hurricanes 14, Michigan 13, A&M at 12, and Clemson 11. And here is your top 10 Bill Conley ESPN SP rankings. LSU 10. Ole Miss 9. Tennessee 8. Texas 7. Oregon. The metrics love Oregon 6. They love the Fighting Irish 5. Georgia number 4. Penn State is going to be right there. Number 3. Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, number 2, and the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes, number 1. So there are the rankings. We're going to get to your phone calls. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. Our monologue has gone over an hour long. I do apologize. We had a stacked show. We got to get to it all. Ryan Willie, Wisconsin is the true UW in the Big Ten, in the true GBR in the Big Ten. At least Wisconsin didn't run away from playing Bama. This evil badger has spoken. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Oh my God. And Wisconsin did not run away from Alabama last year, and they're not running away from Alabama this year. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan Willie. Thank you once again for your incredible generosity and your support of the channel in many, many ways. Thank you, Ryan Willie. I do appreciate it so very much. Wisconsin's not running away. No question about it. Those colors don't run. Kerrygold knows. Greg, let's not forget that Florida State Athletic Director said if all else fails, Florida State will test the waters of being an independent. Now, I believe they did test the waters of being an independent, and maybe they'll go test the waters again. I do know that Michael Alford said in public, and I cannot give you the date on it, but I'll go ahead and try to Google it later or say it in the next live show. But he did say in public, in a report, that when they looked at it, it wasn't going to work. But maybe it will work. Maybe, the landscape is always changing. The media landscape is always changing. So maybe they can get something to work, right? Maybe they can get the money. Maybe they can get the exposure. Maybe they can get everything that they ever wanted as an independent. They used to be an independent, right? You know that, Kerry Gold-Knowles. You're Mr. Seminole. That could be. That could be. Kerry Gold-Knowles, thank you so much for your generosity once again. I got a feeling that Florida State is always talking, always testing, always trying to figure out the next step. Thank you so much for your generosity. Okay, so let's open up. Those SP ratings look pretty darn accurate. Replica agrees with me. I don't understand Matt Rule's. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm having a hard time with it. Replica actually agrees with me. I don't know if that's a compliment to the fat guy in Minnesota or if that's an insult to Mr. Longhorn Replica. I do not know which way. Okay, let me open up the phone lines here. You can give a call, talk anything in college football, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. I do have a question. Weren't they supposed to release the Jeffrey Epstein files today, or some of the files? I haven't heard anything. I've been busy all day. I do not know. It doesn't look like they have. Let me know if they've released any of those files. I don't know if that would, I don't think those files would tell us anything, but maybe it would tell us something like somebody visited the island 25 times. Other than that, I don't know what it would tell us.
Call from
Rick, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, good sir. I do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. College football in February.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm thinking there's something going on here, and it's between Mr. Sankey and Mr. Petiti. Now, they have not been able to land their planes, but I do believe they've been sitting together at the simulator.
Yes. Yep. Good analogy. Yes. I like where you're going with it.
And they've landed their planes, a couple of them, at the on the simulator.
Yeah.
The first plane that they've landed on the simulator is 442211. And the second plane they landed was an SEC, going to 9 games in the SEC.
Got it.
And starting to put down with, pencil and eraser, a SEC Big Ten conference schedule on the game schedule for the season.
Yes.
For the 2025 season.
26
and in
season,
doing so, they both spoke to, we'll say, or had their friends speak to, Tennessee and Nebraska, and say, this is quite inconvenient. This guaranteed game between the two of you. So let's go ahead and dissolve that. And what we'll do is we'll let you play an SEC team, Nebraska, and we'll let you play a Big Ten team, Tennessee, and we'll tell you in a few weeks after we get the schedule figured out. And I think what's going to happen.
I think you're right. I think you're going to find yourself being very accurate.
And I think what's going to be the telltale sign is coming very soon. And that's when the president of USC says, yeah, this USC Notre Dame series, we're not going to be able to do this any longer.
Not every year, yes.
No.
Yeah.
Now, we can't play 9 conference games, 1 SEC game, and 1 Notre Dame game.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what we got today.
You got it. Thank you, Rick. I do appreciate it. Great call. Outstanding. I think that was an excellent call. The simulators, yes. Petiti and Sankey have been on their simulators, and they've been landing those planes. They've got the coordinates, they got the altitude, the speed where they need to bring it down. They've got it all figured out, I think.
Call from
Chris Kenny.
Kenny, thanks for calling, my friend. The floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Greg. It's been a while. I'm glad you're feeling better. I was not able to call in earlier this week, so I'm going to go back, if you don't mind, and talk about this silly. I don't listen to the Monty show. I listened to it once for about 5 minutes. It sounded like the drive time radio show that they used to make fun of on The Simpsons, like with all the sound effects and the gags and all that dumb crap that people like listened to in the 80s. And it's actually, his real show. It's pretty pathetic. So I didn't listen to his so-called Super League theory, but I don't think it's anything new or different than functionally than what the Project Rudy crowd wants, than what the other private equity firm wanted. Like it's just some flavor of that. And I just continue to maintain that that is not going to happen. There is not going to be a private equity backed Super League, I don't think of any kind, but certainly not one that is going to be inclusive of every current Power 4 team and some G5s thrown in. It's not going to be a 72 team operation. They're not going to dissolve their affiliations for anything. People are like, oh, it's only for football. You can still play baseball in the SEC, or you can still play hockey in the Big Ten. That is not going to happen. Yeah. The point, and I think your prior caller, Rick, just made that point. Like USC did not join the Big Ten to play fewer Big Ten teams, to go back to playing Washington State and Utah. Yeah. They joined the Big Ten to play Michigan. They joined the Big Ten to play Penn State and Ohio State. They want to be in the whole way. They want to be all in all ways. And I don't think that there's any appetite whatsoever for anything other than what they are currently working on and pursuing. They don't need private equity money. You and I have talked about this many times. They don't need private equity money to continue to be the dominant forces in the sport. When their media rights deals, both leagues come up in 2030-ish, they are not going to be beggars. They're going to be in the driver's seat and will, I absolutely think, command higher premiums than they're already getting. And to the extent that they need private equity money, it's at the margins, and you've talked about it, it's to enhance sponsorships and business connections and sort of other revenue drivers, not just the cash. They don't need the upfront cash. And we know this is true because the Big Ten is already talking to firms like this in those very limited purposes. So there's no need whatsoever for any of those Super League proposals. Here's where I think we are going to go. I think there'll be a Super League, and I think you said this when I listened to your monologue. The Super League will be the Big Ten and the SEC. If there is one, and I tend to think, unfortunately, I don't like it, but I tend to think that there will be in the 2030 timeframe, somewhere around there when these deals all start expiring, that whether it's a new subdivision in the NCAA or they leave and start their own sort of football operation, which they absolutely can do and remain in the NCAA for all other sports. People think that it's an all-in or all-out. It's not. College football is barely regulated by the NCAA. FBS football is barely regulated by the NCAA today. It doesn't need to be into the future. The power rests with the conferences. The college football playoff is not governed in any way by the NCAA. And if the Big Ten and SEC decide to start something new and different, all the CFP is a bunch of contracts. There's no assets.
Yeah.
There's like intellectual property and like 5 people who work in an office outside of Dallas. That's nothing. That can be dissolved tomorrow, and they could start an entirely new operation, which I think they are likely to do, and I think that they will likely grow. The sort of other silly criticism you hear from that same crowd that, like you said, it talks out of both sides of their mouth. They want this big, inclusive, happy family where everybody gets to play and somehow everybody gets rich. But then on the other hand, have these sort of wish casting that the Big Ten and the SEC start voting people out or contracting as if it's, a game of Survivor. That isn't going to happen either. That's not going to happen either. What's going to happen if we go down this road is that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to get bigger. They're going to be at least 20 teams apiece. I think they'll probably be 24 apiece. And you'll have a 48-team Super League that takes the current members, plus Notre Dame, and the best of the ACC and the Big 12. And if there's a breakaway in a Super League, that's who's going to be the Super League. They don't need private equity money. If they get it, it's going to be at the margins. I continue to think a partnership with the NFL, and if you want investment, an investment from the NFL makes way more sense than from a private equity firm that doesn't know anything or care at all about football. But that's where we're going. We're not going with these pie-in-the-sky fantasies. I think that we're going with these two conferences continuing to drive the future of college football, college athletics generally. They got a lot of leverage and a lot of tools to do it. They don't need to sit and be bullied or lectured by university presidents at other schools that want to do deals with PE firms that they're not interested in working with.
Yeah, I'm getting an echo.
Could you hear anything I said?
Yeah, no, I heard everything, and I agreed with pretty much everything you said. Great call. Every time I say yep, I could hear the yep coming back at me. I think you've turned it down. Great.
My bad.
Great call. I absolutely agree with everything you said. Rick earlier talked about land in the plains, right? Well, when it comes to this private equity, and I still think private equity is going to come in somewhere, somehow. I don't know how. I've heard so many stories. I don't know. But if you're talking about what I have heard is, and I'm going to use the Big 12 because this is the best example. The Big 12 getting a private equity deal at a conference level. It is like Brett Yormark has had offers. That's been out in public already. I bet he's gotten a whole lot more offers. I'm sure he's working on stuff all the time when it comes to a conference level private equity plan for the Big 12. To land that plane is a gigantic task, right? For all the reasons we know, and for probably a whole lot of other reasons we don't know. One of the reasons we know it's such a difficult plane to land is because you've got 16 different universities. They've got different visions. They've got different values. And that's one of the things that's hard to land that plane, because the schools that have the higher valuations by the perception of the private equity firm, they're the ones that are the backbone of that investment from private equity, okay? Now, think about how difficult it is to land that plane. Now, think about what the Monty Show said. They said the Big Ten and the SEC are working on this plan to private equity Super League. You're talking about Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama and Georgia, who would have to be the backbone of this gigantic 60-team private equity deal in which they're taking on most of the risk, and other schools are getting most of the benefits. And you're talking about Sankey and Petiti, those two guys coming up with this, like they're the energy, they're the inertia behind this plan. Come on, Petiti.
No.
These guys are not vision. These guys aren't. They're not that. Whatever they are not that. So that's another reason why none of it makes sense to me. But
Well, let me. Am I still echoing, or can I make another point?
you go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I completely agree with you, and this is why I continue to be skeptical of people who think private equity is. I think it is inevitable. I agree with you. I think it's going to be in a much more limited way, like you see with the NFL or the NBA. But I think it's coming. But the idea that private equity is going to take over college football, I think, is ridiculous, and here's why. In addition to everything else I've said. You gave a great example just now about the Big 12 and the most valuable schools in the league. If they're not the most valuable in the Big 12, I would say TCU is probably the second most valuable. Maybe Kansas is number one.
We've got breaking news.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to have to let you off. I do apologize.
No worries. Peace.
Kenny, I do apologize. I hate doing that. One of the worst things a host can do is take people off the phone. I appreciate your time and consideration. When you call,
the show must go on.
When you call next time, you get as much time as you possibly want.
All right, brother. Thank you.
I do apologize. We got breaking news. We've got breaking news. I am gonna have to just give me a second. Give me a second. Okay. We don't have much, but I think this is worth. We're just talking about the Big 12. We were just talking about landing the plane, how difficult it is for Brett Yormark. Ross Dellinger. 6 minutes ago. Big 12 presidents and athletic directors today reviewed bids from 3 finalists in the league's pursuit of a capital partner, sources tell Yahoo Sports. Firms are proposing to infuse millions to school. Red Capital has emerged as the leader. A decision is expected in the coming weeks. Hold on. I must change the title of the show. Hold on, everybody, hold on. The phone lines will be open in a moment. I do apologize. Give me a second, people. You know the host of this show is incompetent. Is incompetent. Hold on. Holy smokes. Okay, well, wow. 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 Well, let me hold on, everybody. We are scrambling here. This is and now I just hold on. Please be patient. I'm just gonna, holy smokes. Sorry guys, we're scrambling. We are scrambling. Woo! Wow. Phone lines are open. Phone lines are open. Phone lines are open. We've got breaking news.
Call from
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger, I'm sorry. Can you hold on one more second?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm getting flooded here. Hold on. Sorry, Evil Badger. We are. Okay, Evil Badger, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so apparently, genetics was in a chat on Tuesday when I took a shot at him and Monte.
He was in what chat room? With the Monty show?
Yeah. Genetics made a comment to me after that.
Okay.
And I'm like, so apparently he's been hiding in the chat.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not. Yeah, I get it. He comes in once in a while. I'm not gonna stop him from coming in. He watches the show a lot.
Okay.
That's everyone's free to watch his show unless somebody comes in here and really gets says bad language or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. I just well, the other thing that with the idea of the Super League, I don't believe it's going to happen because Nathan from CFM said that he had this idea, and he said that the Big could keep its money from Fox, but there would be no, there would be a 72 team league, and the Big could keep its money from Fox, but there's no conferences. How does that work?
I don't know. I don't know how any of that would work.
And with the previous caller, he said, well, the Big and the ACC could stay together and take some of the top teams from the Big 12 and the ACC. But what do the other schools in the ACC and the Big 12?
Hold on, Evo Badger. Hold on. I get what you're saying and everything, and let's just cut to the chase. You've got questions that can't be answered because it's probably what they're saying is not. It's just not going to happen, or at least in the way that there's. Look. Let's Ryan Willie. I'm going to repeat what Ross Dellinger just said. Okay, Big 12 presidents and athletic directors today reviewed bids from 3 finalists in the league's pursuit of a capital partner. Firms are proposing to infuse millions to schools. RedBird Capital has emerged as the leader. A decision is expected in the coming weeks. So this is the decision that the Big 12 is going to make, right? 1, they're going to choose Red Capital. They are the leader. Number 2, they're going to pick a different capital partner. Number 3, they're going to pick a different capital partner. Or number 4, they're going to decide not to land this plane, right? They're not going to do it, not now or maybe never, but that's the other option, right?
Right.
The decision is going to be expected in the coming weeks. I got to be honest here. Brett Yormark, we've been reporting on this. You know we have. We've been reporting on this more than we have been reporting on this, and I want to get more into this here. I really want to get into this, guys, because the rumors, most of those rumors we keep bringing up is about the Big 12 and how difficult this plane is going to land for Yormark. But if this happens, none of that other stuff that the Monty Show has been talking about isn't reality, right? Brett Yormark ain't going to do this deal if there's something else going on, which there isn't going on with the Super League, okay? This is more evidence that all that stuff was just, I'm sorry to be blunt, but it was just crazy.
He just wants to get clicks. That's all he wants.
Alrighty, man. Anything else, sir?
No, that's all.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it, good sir.
All right. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, call again, my man.
All right.
Evo Badger,
Right.
Ryan Willie, legendary caller. Again, let's get back to the breaking news. Hold on a second. Woo!
From
Rock and Rant.
Can you hold on and can you give me another second here?
Take your time.
And this is big news. Okay, big news. Now, Rock and Rant, you can interrupt me. You can interrupt me and say, Greg, your cheese have slipped off your cracker. But I see this as a decision. Again, I'm reading Ross Dellinger's post. A decision is expected in the coming weeks. They've been working on this, as we've been reporting to you all, as your show has been reporting to everybody. The Big 12 has been working on this. This is why the invasion of private equity is why we opened up the Holy Smokes Theater. We've been told and told about this. And there's certain parts about this that we've been told, and we're going to push that envelope right now. A decision is expected in the coming weeks. A decision, RedBird Capital has emerged the leader, which if Ross Dellinger, I'm going to use his term, Rock and Rant, if he's already socializing that, it probably got a lot of steam behind it. Right, Rock and Rant? Now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that most likely they either have everybody on or this is the push to get the last two stragglers in.
Yeah. Now, I just want to bring this up, and I don't want anybody to have a heart attack or whatever. I don't, But I have work to do tonight because I can't remember. My brain is completely... Look, part of these... And I'll let you on, Rock and Rant. You can have all the time you want. I got to get this out, though. I got to get this out.
Go right ahead.
Part of this story, and we've been told this over and over and over again, part of the reviewing of the bids and all this stuff is huge money. Huge money. At least one of these bids, at least one of them, had UConn as part of the portfolio. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know which one, I don't know, but we know that UConn has been part of this mix. RedBird Capital, where are they from? I do not know. I don't remember. I'm sure you guys have all told me 1,000 times. Who's ahead of RedBird Capital? I don't know. I'm sure you guys have told me 1,000 times. I don't remember. But if somebody can keep your head on a swivel and get that information in the chat room, I would appreciate it. But there could be, there may be, it may not be. There could be a UConn piece involved in all this. Go ahead, Rock and Rant. The floor is yours.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we'll see what happens, whether or not they have everybody lined up or not, or if it's just leaking out because they had the meeting today. But the other thing I think is stepping away from the Big 12 for a second, and I don't know if you talked about this earlier, but connecting it back. It's a really interesting day for Florida State and Clemson, right? With this news adding on. So first you have the Florida decision and the Supreme Court that the cases can theoretically continue on while they're possibly looking at a settlement. But now if you have that decision, and then if you're the ACC, you now see the Big 12 news leaking out that they have 3 offers, and that ship is starting to sail. It might put even more pressure on the ACC to settle with Florida State and Clemson, because now it's not like, hey, somebody's still not first. Somebody could be first by the time you even get to, anything, right? So you're now, maybe you thought it was going to happen later in the fall. Now you hear it might wind up happening in a few weeks, and then you're going to get that internal pressure pretty fast from the member schools that want to be down that road to come up with a way to get there.
Yes. Again, yes. Now, look, the chatter behind the curtain, been talking about this. North Carolina rattling everyone's cages. Get something done. We know the options, and we know they're going to pick up the option and everything, and North Carolina's flinging out these crazy scenarios and saying, look, we want the same option as the Big 12 has. And the Big 12 is weeks away from a decision. Weeks away from a decision. And the decision might be, no, we're not taking any of this. We're going to continue on without private capital. That could be the decision. But North Carolina, I'm sure Miami, and a whole bunch of other ACC schools want the ability to have that option of saying yes or saying no. But they don't have it. And Rock and Rant is absolutely correct. And shame on me for not, my brain is going a mile a minute. Yes, this is the fear. This is the fear that the Big 12 can make a move like this. And what if it works? What if this actually works? What if it's a great deal? Everyone's talking about what a bad deal could be. It could be. But what if it's a great deal? This is the fear. Fear drives people. Fear drives commissioners. This is the fear. You're absolutely correct, Rock and Rat. This is going to put the pressure back in the courts. What is Florida State? Are they going to play this? Are they going to play Are they going to play it for their favor, or are they going to get a lot of heat from the other schools saying, "Look what you've done. We can't even have these discussions"? Or maybe they are, but we've been told no, they're not. So, holy smokes.
Yeah, I know probably a lot of people want to call in. The other thing I just wanted to mention, which is still about money, but not the exact same thing. Did you see the post about Caitlin DeBoer fighting poverty?
Yeah. I made a comment on that.
I mean, that's the whole hypocrisy about their enforcement is they don't want an even playing field. They want the uneven playing field back again in its different form. I just think that him crying is just a really bad look. Like today's the day I actually decided I don't think Caitlin DeBoer is going to make it work at Alabama. Because he just keeps crying about stuff like that as if they're a pauper school and they're just not remotely in that case. So
yeah, I saw.
Anyway, I'll let you dive in and let everybody else get on. But,
yeah, you guys doing a show tonight? You might have to.
I'm doing one on my Miami Flow channel, which I just have to change half of it up because of this. Those guys will be on tomorrow for sure.
Got it. All right, man. Yeah, that's right. You guys go Thursday night. That's right. All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, Greg. Take care, man.
Appreciate it. Look. Hold on. Everybody time out. Rod Nix. RedBird is also being very aggressive in acquiring media properties. Skydance Media and pending proposed acquisition of Paramount Global. And that's what we've been saying about hold on.
From
James.
James, can you hold on for just 1 second? Can you hold on for 1 second, please? Hello? Yeah. James.
Yes.
Can you hold on for just 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it. I got to fix something here real quick. Well, you didn't have to hang up. Call again. You didn't have to hang up. Sometimes I gotta do something here. I am getting some stuff here. Hold on. Breaking news during our live show. Breaking news. The Big 12 is weeks away from a decision on private capital. That's strategic partner. Weeks away. RedBird Capital is the favorite, according to sources telling Yahoo Sports and Ross Dellinger. Now, couple things. As we have said, one of the reasons why Brett Yormark is trying to go down this road, if you agree or disagree, I have no idea how it's all going to work out, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have a clue. But one of the reasons when we reported this, we gave you the peak many months ago on this, is because it was going to give the Big 12, according to what we've been told, to have the leverage, to at least try to gain some leverage, to have a relationship with private, whatever you want to call this, private equity, private capital, strategic partner. To have that strategic partner in their back pocket, so when the next time, besides all the other things that are getting in the deal, the contact, to have this strategic partner. So when they belly up at the bar, when they go to the Big 12 and the ESPN, when they go into those exclusive media negotiations windows, that the Big 12 is going to have this in their pocket, and it's going to give Brett Yormark leverage. So if ESPN and Fox lowballs the Big 12 in the perception of Brett Yormark, and Brett Yormark says, And if they say, go ahead and roll those dice, if Brett Yormark says, well, I'm going to have to leave, then Brett Yormark's going to be able to say, consider those dice rolled, just like Jim Delaney told ESPN. Part of this conference level, private, capital, whatever relationship you want to talk about, part of the motive, the big part of the motive, is to give Brett Yormark leverage. Rod Nix, RedBird, is also being very aggressive in acquiring media properties. I don't doubt that for a minute. Now, if this is true, AER says that RedBird Capital is out of New York City. So I don't want to say anything conclusive here, but that might be the firm that had UConn in their bids, because it is that big market. Is that UConn, New York City, that big market? That's where the private, I keep saying that, the strategic partnership relationships that Brett Yormark is looking for. My goodness. Kerry Gold knows when the bleak goes south, let blame Florida State again. Thank you for the super chat. Look, this news, thank you for the super chat, Kerry Gold knows. Very much appreciate it once again. Thank you for your generosity. This breaking news, I mean, it ain't going to go like what Rock and Rant said. Look, this is going to be tossed around in ACC country. Remember, we've been saying that the Big 12 trying to get this conference level private equity, private partnership or strategic partnership deal done is something that was actually given Florida State and Clemson leverage in the courtroom, because North Carolina and these other ACC schools are like, man, we're not going to be able to get the same deal as the Big 12. We might not be even to be able to go to the table because we've got two schools suing us and we are suing Clemson and Florida State. So maybe this is good news for Florida State. Maybe this is good news for Clemson. I don't know, guys. I do not know. But again, I got to be honest with something else here. I mean, it isn't like the ACC is shocked because of this news. Maybe there's a psychological thing going on, but the ACC has known that the Big 12 was working on a conference level private capital, private equity deal. This is causing angst inside the ACC. It has for months. It's why North Carolina has been rattling the cages. North Carolina is for private capital, private equity, strategic partnership. They want the same option to say yes or no to a deal. This is massive, massive, massive news. And I cannot say for conclusion. Hold on. I cannot say for certain that Red Capital is the one that has UConn in the mix of one of their bids. But if I had to put my chips in the middle of the table, I would say it's probably the one. But I don't know for sure. Phone lines are open. 763-269-3269. 260-1333-763. 260-1333. Bo Weevil says Clemson is having a spring game, is having a spring football game. Somebody give me a call here, 763-260-1333. And it does sound like the first phase of the declassified
Call from
James.
James, go ahead. The floor is yours. It sounds like the Jeffrey Epstein files, the first phase, have just been released. Go ahead, James. The floor is yours.
I think this could actually change the entire power dynamic for football also. Because now you're talking people with money that are involved in this, and the SEC and Big Ten trying to take over everything isn't going to sit well with the people who have real money.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to change. Well, I don't know if it's going to change the power relationship between Brett Yormark, the Big 12, versus the SEC and the Big Ten. At least not now. Maybe in years ahead it will, if it works, right?
Yeah.
But there is going to be, look, it is going to change. There is going to be a big effect on this. I mean, you know, when you're bringing in private capital, and especially if that private capital has connections or is going to be buying or some sort of media companies, or has connections with streaming companies, and has connections with all sorts of sponsorships, and can bring in money if they have expertise in certain areas. I mean, all of that is going to change the relationship between Brett Yormark and possibly the ACC, or Brett Yormark with ESPN and Fox. I think this is a monster story if the decision is for Brett Yormark to go with Red Capital or one of the other two that are the finalists. Now, if he says no to all these options, then the effect is going to be minimal. But if he goes with the leader, Red Capital, my goodness, a lot of people are going to be against it. A lot of people are going to be like, we'll wait and see. A lot of people are going to be going, holy smokes, Brett Yormark once again is the change agent of college sports. The change agent, Brett Yormark. And remember, James, we've got reports that the Big Ten is looking at smaller private investor, private capital type of deals. So the Big Ten and the Big 12, and what is the SEC doing? If they're doing anything, we don't know. And what about the ACC? Are they still stuck in the mud because they got two teams in the courts? I don't know, man. Go ahead, James.
This could be a way where, if we're talking enough money, FSU might decide, hey, it's worth going to the Big 12 because we can buy ourselves out with that money. Because I don't remember what article was, but a while back I read an article where they were talking, some of these capital guys were talking about $200 million a school.
Mm-hmm. Well,
if it's something like that, if you're FSU, you leave now and just pay them the little bit that you owe them, and you're out. You're 1,000% better.
So you're talking if the ACC gets a private equity deal?
No. If the Big 12's equity deal is big enough,
you're
to
saying
entice Clemson, Florida State, Miami, yeah.
Okay, Big 12.
It might be enough coming to them every year that they just go ahead and say, "Hey, we're leaving," and just pay y'all what we owe y'all and be gone.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in that possibility, but people are going to be bringing it up. People are going to be speculating on it.
Yep.
And again, we do not know Well, I don't. Maybe some of you, a lot of you guys are probably a whole lot smarter on all this than I am, no question. But the impact, there's a psychological impact. There's the inertia of this. How good a deal is this? Can Brett Yormark make it work? And what if in a couple of years from now, we're sitting around in February 27, 2027, and the perception of most of us is, holy smokes, that infusion of money, Big 12 was able to crank up. They were able to do all the rev share. They were able to do this, that. They'll be able to market, sponsorship. They're getting ready. I mean, what if the perception is this thing worked? Now you got Florida State and Clemson. What are they spending 2 more years in the courts? And what if the Big 12 is now we're just this is wish casting for Big 12, but what if they become more attractive? Maybe not to Florida State, maybe not to Clemson, but for other ACC schools, or maybe this doesn't work at all, and then you got the other scenario, but. No matter what, this is going to be impactful. If Yormark says yes to one of the 3 bids.
Okay, that's all I had.
You got it. Thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. Breaking news. Unbelievable. Breaking news. We're doing a live show. We're talking everything in college football. And then... out of nowhere, Ross Dellinger. Thanks for the call, James. Appreciate it. For those who have missed it, for those who are not aware, Ross Dellinger, 40 minutes ago, Big 12 presidents. Hold on.
From
Movie Time Blues.
Movie Time Blues. Can you just hold 1 second, please?
Sure.
I appreciate it. Again, I just want people are arriving right now to our live show. Breaking news 40 minutes ago. Ross Dellinger reported Big 12 presidents and athletic directors today reviewed bids from 3 finalists in the league's pursuit of a capital partner, sources tell Yahoo Sports. They review bids today. Firms are proposing to infuse millions to the schools. RedBird Capital has emerged as the leader. A decision is expected in the coming weeks. So this story is not going to linger. This story is going to go big here in a little bit. And that is why the invasion of private equity was going to be the main story of 2025. We reported that a couple months left into 2024. Holy smokes, Capital Partner has entered the theater. Movie Time Blues. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir.
Yes. First of all, I want to comment on the issues with Nebraska and their scheduling issues.
Yeah.
And how it's going to affect what's the relationship between the Big Ten and the SEC down the road, because while they're in the middle of drastic changes, then this comes up and throws another spanner in the throws another monkey wrench in the machinery. Until let's recall when the Big Ten made a directive that the FCS games will no longer be played, and over time, schools started to walk back from that. So there is a lot of issues within the conference right now when they can't even get into an agreement on what their scheduling philosophy is, how they're gonna start to cooperate with another conference if they cannot get their own membership in line.
Great comments. I would anticipate if that scheduling deal becomes formal between the SEC and the Big Ten. I think Nebraska will then say, okay, we'll play an SEC team when you tell us we'll play. I don't think Nebraska is going to make a. I think they'll just go ahead and do it. I just think it's. I don't know. I don't want to spend any more time on it. I've done an episode on it, and I took a little bit on the monologue to talk about it. I think Matt Rule is zigging where everybody else is zagging. I don't quite understand the logic of it. But go ahead, sir. Continue with your call.
Sure. Now with this possibility of a capital agreement with the Big 12, will this open the way for non-football membership for the Big 12? Because now they could don't have to share football money, and private capital could maybe finance some of the ascension of non-football members into the conference. Maybe that's where the UConn news could emerge from there.
Interesting. Now with UConn ain't coming in unless they come in as a football too. So that's not even. Yeah, UConn ain't going to join the Big 12 as a basketball only. So, but when it comes to potentially other schools, I don't know if the Big 12 is going to have the appetite because, I could be wrong, but I think the Big 12 is quite happy with their big basketball conference. Houston, the first 2 years in the Big 12 has won the regular season, or at least the co-champion of the regular season in the Big 12. And of course they're pursuing UConn and I don't think I would not bet on it that they would try to target, along with this private capital deal, non-football members. I don't see it happening, but we shall see. I'm not, obviously I don't know for sure, but that's my take on it. I don't believe that UConn is an all or nothing proposition at this point. There's been, the talks between the two have been heavy. They paused it. They knew that if they came in, it would be part of a private capital, private equity, strategic partnership type of deal. And here we are weeks away, and boy, there's a lot more to uncover, my friend.
And let's recall that there's still that look-in that's going to come in like in 3 years, I believe, that for the CFP.
For the college football playoffs?
Right.
Yeah, in a couple of years, yep.
Yeah, so maybe that's the thought on the back of the mind is if there's an opportunity at that point, then they would have the funds that could be used to enhance the conference. If there's a program that would help them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise they could use that money for other investments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of possibilities, my friend. A lot of possibilities. This is going to be a gigantic story if Brett Yormark actually pulls the trigger on this. And let's be clear about something, or as clear as we possibly can be. If we are at the stage, Movie Time Blues, if we are at the stage in which Ross Dellinger is reporting that the Big 12 presidents and the athletic directors today reviewed bids from 3 finalists. It doesn't mean that there's going to be a yes on RedBird Capital or the other 2. It doesn't mean there's going to be a yes, but there was enough support, enough traction, enough whatever momentum, inertia from all of the Big 12 schools to get to this point, right? To get to the goal line, to get to the 5-yard line. Now, is there enough? You got to get everybody on board. Is there enough to push it into the end zone? That is the question. But there has been enough of this to where they got final bids and the decision is weeks away. Anything else, sir?
I think on the too early forecast for the CFP, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Michigan gets into the first round.
All right. Yeah, it could happen. Absolutely. You got to be pretty excited. Michigan's got to be pretty excited about, you got Underwood coming on in there, and who knows? I mean, he could be ready by, middle of the year. If he's ready by the middle of the year to rock and roll, who knows, man? It's
Michigan and Notre Dame in the first round. That's my chalk.
Okay. You could be right. You could be absolutely right, sir. Thanks.
All right, I'll let you go now.
All right, thanks for the call, Movie Time Blues. Appreciate it.
No problem.
We've got breaking news, guys. Breaking news. We are covering it the best we can. Gold Black 45. If the non-Magnificent 7 schools in the ACC block any PE investment, this could lead to breaking up the league. Again, the only way you can really break up the league is that crazy dissolution theory, which maybe legally you can pull off. I mean, I don't see it happening, but North Carolina has thrown that whole North Carolina Blue Matter thing, all of that was part of that. And this is something that they have feared. They don't want Big 12 to have all these options, and they don't have anything. Now, I just want to make something clear, and I've reported this in the past. There are ACC schools that are non-Magnificent 7 that are for private capital, private equity, strategic partnership. We talked about some of them. One of them being Wake Forest, Duke, Syracuse. So, I mean, it's, I don't know, Gold Black 45. This is going to be impactful, not only in the Big 12, but it's going to be impactful in the ACC. How it splinters, how it shatters, how it goes, I do not know. Gold Black 45, thank you so much for the super chat, for your kindness, for your support. Thank you so much, LSU Tiger. I see that you are also gave a gift membership. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Free West was gifted a membership. Free West, when you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Gold Black 45 for his generosity. Both of you are ignited. Cloak and Dagger.
From
Larry the GM.
Larry the GM, can you hold on for just a second?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. I just want to say once again, thank you, Gold Black 45, for your incredible generosity today. Thank you so very much. Rod Nick's potential massive media deal could be completed this summer. That would bring Paramount Global under the umbrella of Skydance Media. This would bring Paramount Plus under the control of RedBird. Okay,
Greg,
go ahead, Larry the GM. Let her rip, my man.
Greg, that leads to one of my questions.
Got it.
So, okay, so Greg, I get that. But the Big 12 still is under contract with ESPN for
Absolutely.
2031. So what difference does that make?
What difference does that make? Well, it gives them a long landing strip when it comes to when they negotiate their next media deal. Maybe it helps. Well, we've been told it would help them, give them leverage, because the private equity firm, private capital, whatever, in theory would have connections with big streaming giants that they could get a deal favorable for the Big 12. It would just give them leverage in their next negotiations. Real
Okay, so
made
leverage
up, I
and-
do not know. Go ahead, sir.
And leverage in 2029.
Hmm?
And that would be leverage in 2029.
Sure. But of course, you know,
Okay.
that's a part of the deal. The other part is the infusion of the cash and the supposedly sponsorship money that would flow in. All the reasons why other entities have gone the private capital route in sports. Some of it has worked. I'm not an expert in any of this. I don't know. Maybe it's a complete failure. Maybe it'll be a complete success. Maybe it'll be something in between. I do not know.
Okay, I'm not trying to be a jerk,
Yeah.
but embedded in those tweets is also that they would pay interest of 10 to 12%.
Who
On
the
the
Big
money.
12 would?
That's the way I read the tweet.
I don't know what tweet you're talking about.
It
Oh
was-
yeah,
it was
the
from Ross.
intro. Okay, so Ross Dellinger, I get it. The story from last year. Let me put this up. Unrelated to the Big 12, capital firms have spent more than a year meeting with school and conference administrators to push cash infusions with interest rates in the 10 to 15% range. Yeah.
Okay, it was 15.
Yep,
Sorry, Greg.
yep, okay. I don't know if it's part of the deal, you know, like it could be. Very well could be, but I don't know that for sure.
That's pretty expensive interest rate to be paying
Mhm.
on money you get today, right?
Yeah.
So Greg, I think the big point is, I think this helps the Big 12. It helps the Big 12 in being more competitive in a situation that was sizing up to be headed toward them being literally minor league football compared to the Power 2. And I know people get pissed off when I say that, but relative to where the financial game was going between these conferences, that's where it was headed. And so I get that helps, but there's other people saying in your chat, and you know, I think you got a phone call in the last 20 minutes saying, hey, this puts the Big 12 on par with the Power 2. And all I say to that is, guys, if it works, the Power 2 conferences can create the same sort of the private equity money would love to engage with the Power 2 conferences as equal or more so, because that's where the real return would be, because that's where the schools that are really investing and really have the greatest interest and have the greatest media situation. So I get that the people in the Big 12 fans, and you know, Greg, I was in the Big 12 just 2 years ago. Right? I get it. I get how that this is good news. It's just
I haven't seen anybody say, I mean, you know, I don't think anybody seriously thinks this deal, even if it works, is going to have them in the same tier as the Big Ten. And of course, the Big Ten and the SEC, if it works, they're probably going to try to duplicate it. And Big Ten's got another.
Right.
I mean, I think most people get all that. I think it's big news because the Big 12, they're not looking at the Big Ten and the SEC. They're looking at the ACC. I mean,
that's the point.
Yeah, they just survived a battle with the Pac-12. They won that battle with the Pac-12 when most people thought they were going to lose it. When most people thought Brett Yormark made a bad deal and he left money on the table. I mean, 90% of the college football YouTube channels went with that narrative, and I said, that's not it at all. That's not it at all. The Pac-12's in big trouble. So again, this is about trying to get to the higher land, and the Big 12 is trying to get to the higher land than the ACC. Now, this deal, if they accept one of these three bids, could put a big hole in their boat, and they might sink, and all that stuff, right? I gotta believe that any of these deals, even if it's like with the whatever a 10 to 12% interest rate mean, whatever this is, I mean, there's got to be some certainty. And I'm not saying this is going to work, Larry the Jam. It could completely fail. But there's got to be some pen to paper given to the Big 12 presidents and Brett Yormark saying automatically, without a question of a doubt, this type of money is going to be able to be accessed. Like this big contracts with these big firm sponsorships is going to automatically come in to the Big 12. And so the Big 12 knows that they're going to get extra revenue to at least be able to start paying back. Like I always, like this example is a big one. And I know this is apples to oranges, whatever, but when the WWE signed that big streaming contract with Netflix, that's not all that they got. They got big sponsorship money, major sponsorship money that they could not get into until they had the relationship with Netflix and all this TKO, who owns the WWE. They got into this big, they were able to grab a bunch of money that they did not right away. Right away, they got the sponsorship deals. I think if we see Brett Yormark pull the trigger on one of these three bids, and he might not, but if he does, I think we're going to see like a Verizon wireless deal coming out. We're going to see deals. Like the Big 12 ain't going to do this, in my opinion, unless there's a mountain of money that's going to come in, not just from the cash infusion, but from all the other contacts that the private capital firm brings in. Because that's what the NBA franchises have done. That is what the NFL franchises, some of them are starting to do. It's all the intangibles, all this extra contacts and money that supposedly these private capital firms bring in to the entity. Go ahead, Larry the Jam.
And Greg, you did excellent in describing that. And that is also why we saw the Big Ten describe that they were going to get some strategic partnerships that help them capture that very space as well. Talking about getting the sponsorship money and helping frame out additional paths without necessarily going full bore into this, like, hey, we need a huge infusion of money from you, private equity. I think the Big Ten deal was more about, hey, private equity type of people, how can you help us with some of this sponsorship space and these business, these strategic partnerships. I think, Greg, you did a great job of describing that. And I think every single one of these power conferences are going to get in this space, with the exception, and you're spot on, and I think the biggest freak out should be for the ACC fans, because they're the ones, as you described, when they're staying in the court, that the private equity people are not going to want to deal with them until they get out of court.
Well, and maybe we find that not to be entirely true, right? Maybe, but it's gotta hurt their ability to make a deal, though, in their fate. Like
exactly,
you're right. Yeah. Or at least that's what
it probably
everyone's
impacts
saying.
the value of the deal if they have to put an uncertainty factor into their negotiation.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, I just wanted to Greg, I think I wanted you to go through that because I think that it's important for us to reframe. You may have to have this reset, Greg, along the way every single time when we get a major update on this private equity space. You have to remind us, me and others, like, where is the real value of this space? And I'm sure you're probably going to be spending the next 24 hours talking to some of your contacts to learn more about what's going on. But thank you for that, Greg. And as usual, you're the go-to source on these sorts of things. And thank you for being there.
I appreciate it. Appreciate Larry the GM. Appreciate the kind words, my man.
All right, take care.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Beautiful. Beautiful call. Again, Terry Brown, thank you for the super chat. Is Holy Smokes going to be renamed to RedBird? Whew. No, because I'm not getting any money. Trent Brown, RedBird, is not giving me a red cent. So, the invasion of private equity in the Holy Smokes Theater. The theater will be continued to be called the Holy Smokes. Now, if any of you own a business, if anybody of you want to part with your well-earned money, enough of it to Greg Flugar, college football speaker on the corner, I'm willing to do naming rights for the theater. I'm willing to do naming rights but until then, it is going to be the Holy Smokes Theater with a valuation of $1.35. $1.35 is the valuation of our make-believe Holy Smokes Theater. You know, we talk about you know, the Big 12 not being able to get close to the Big 10 and the SEC, whatever. And all that is probably no doubt true. And if they're successful in this, the Big 10 and the SEC, they're going to be able to duplicate it or do better because, you know. Hold on, we got more breaking news.
Call from
Replica.
Can you hold on? I got more breaking news.
Go ahead.
I do apologize, sir. Here we go.
No worries.
Ross Dellinger, this is a capital proposal, not equity. A report last summer about the Big 12's pursuit of private equity deal with CVC was premature. That deal has never reached the final stage of the hangups. CVC is not part of the group of finalists, sources tell Yahoo Sports. So this is the private capital proposal, not equity. Now, I'm not smart enough to tell you the difference. I have no idea. Replica, he's a genius. He'd be able to tell us. One of you will be able to tell us. I don't know. I have no idea. But this is a capital proposal, not equity. It looks like they're not going to take any ownership of the Big 12. It's just basically we can give you all this, and then you got to pay us back with interest. Very interesting indeed. Replica, you're on the line. The floor is yours.
Thanks for taking my call. You just hit the nail on the head, and I want to kind of explain private equity because I think there's a misconception about what it's used for and how it works. But first, I want to say something to our friend, to Town Hawk. I don't know if he's or he or she. I'm not sure what the gender is, but we got to get them some help because the other day they said Sankey and Petiti didn't talk to the media because they wanted to cruise down Harry Hines Boulevard. You're a wild person.
Who are we talking about?
To Town Hawk.
Okay, all right. I haven't noticed. I don't know. What did he say?
So the other day when you during your last live show, you were talking about the meeting in Dallas.
Yeah.
He posted a comment saying that they were going to cruise down Harry Hines Boulevard, and I just want to say he's wild. They're
Okay.
wild for that.
All right.
Just joking, but
Yeah.
So I want to kind of explain this private equity, because I think people kind of assume that if this deal gets done, they're just going to hijack the conference and they're going to be running all the cities. That's not necessarily how it's going to work. And I'm going to use an example. I'm a lifelong supporter of Chelsea Football Club, which is a English soccer team in London.
Well, you hung up on us, Replica. Give us a call. Give us a call. Give us a call back. Give us a call back, Replica. I hope you're okay. I hope you were not in the car. I hope you did not have an accident. Give us a call. Loan sharks legalize. This is like a bank loan, except this bank is New Yorker kosher Nostra. Mafia. It's more than a loan, right? It's more than a loan. It's not just a loan. They're bringing in money. They're bringing in contacts. They're bringing in business for the Big 12. They're not just saying, here, we'll give you this money and, give us 12% back, 10%. They're bringing in money. These universities, they can get easy money. All of them can. This is more than just we're getting cash. They're bringing in business. And this business wants to do businesses with the Big 12. It's a partnership. James Davis, yes. So, very interesting times ahead. I hope this phone is working on our end. Replica, I did not hang up. It looks like our phone system is working. Give us a call, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Give us a call. Breaking news. Private capital. It's the private capital invasion. In the Big 12, they've got a decision to make.
Call from
Tristan 5.
Tristan, go ahead. The floor is yours. Replica, if you give us a call, the floor will be yours after Tristan. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Greg. Hey, I didn't get to hear the early part of your show. Did you, by any chance, cover anything relating to the FSU case going on in Florida?
No, I did not. We covered a lot on our live show today, but that is one of the things we did not cover.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're aware of
Yep.
what has happened, I think,
Yep.
right? So, for anyone who doesn't know, apparently Florida Supreme Court has rendered some kind of a judgment that allows the court case to go forward in the state of Florida. So the ACC has to keep fighting this in the state of Florida as well as in North Carolina. So that's an interesting development potentially. And also, real quick, Greg, I didn't get a chance to call in, but you were talking about, I think you did a show a few days ago regarding the possible postseason play-in games that the Big Ten and the SEC might be doing.
Yeah.
I think what you're going to see here is it seems inevitable that they're going to do that, right? They've already been floating it as a trial balloon. So I think that what you'll probably see with the SEC is that they're going to do the 1 versus 8 and then 2 versus 7 thing. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, the other format sounds better. But I think what has happened, Greg, is that part of the deal of getting Texas into the SEC, I think they had to make a handshake agreement to play postseason games, neutral site postseason games in the state of Texas. And so I think the SEC has made the decision that they're going to start rotating to different sites within the footprint for all these games.
Okay.
And having 4 of those games makes it easier to spread it around. And another thing, another byproduct of this, Greg, is that they're not going to have a permanent game in Atlanta anymore. They can't do that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to throw that out. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen here with the SEC and the Big Ten. But we'll find out more details down the road when all that becomes official.
Yep.
So thanks for taking my call, Greg. I'll talk to you later.
You got it. I appreciate it, Tristan. Thank you so very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
You got it. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to close down this live show. We've been on for 2.5 hours. We had breaking news in the middle of it when it came to this private capital, breaking news, private capital. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. Brett Yormark has 3 final bids that the athletic directors and the presidents looked at. And there's a decision that has to be made. RedBird Capital is the favorite. Again, we don't know if it was coming in at private equity, private capital, whatever it is, strategic partnership at a conference level. And it looks like Brett Yormark and the presidents have a decision to make. One of those options is to say no. Nope. But it looks like if they're going to say yes, according to Ross Dillinger's reporting, that the option of RedBird Capital is the favorite. This is big news. Again, how much, the interest rates, whatever, we don't know what the number is. This is not going to be just here's a bunch of cash and you're going to have to pay us back at this much interest. There is going to be some business guaranteed infusion that's coming to the Big 12. Hopefully people understand that. And again, we've got the UConn situation. Are they part of this? Buckle up, brace for impact, because this story is going to be impactful. Big time. Kerry Gold knows Florida State can have a 2-10 season and still have the same TV ratings as Clemson. True. But you better not have another 2-10 season because a lot of that is Florida State had some primetime games all set up because of their incredible season the year before. And some of that has to do with people want to see a train wreck. But again, I don't expect Florida State to have a 2-10 season. I expect them to be very competitive, possible top 4 in the ACC. And Florida State's going to have big time ratings once again. Thank you, Kerry Gold Nose, for your super chat. I do appreciate it so very much. So we're going to shut it down. Been on the air for almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. Breaking news. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. Private capital invasion on a conference level, Big 12. Brett Yormark and the presidents of the Big 12, you've got a decision to make. The decision is expected in the coming weeks. Buckle up, brace for impact. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.